Hi and welcome back to the channel. Xavi Hernandez restored some of the faith that Barcelona fans had in him when his side walked away with all 3 points thanks to a 3-0 victory over Villareal, courtesy of a brace from Robert Lewandowski and a goal from Ansu Fati. In this video we'll be taking a look at how Frenkie de Jong fared as well as how Xavi influenced the game. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do subscribe, as it would help the channel a lot into growing into the next stage. Let's get right into the video. Villareal wasn't going to press Barcelona really high, therefore choosing their moment very specifically. Also because they had a backline trying to keep Barcelona at bay, Xavi had both his wingers verting, therefore the fullbacks keeping the width, trying to overpower the backline. This was the rest of the shape of the rest of the team, with Xavi having Pedri next to de Jong trying to operate kind of like a double pivot. This was to create and overload the midfield, where Barcelona would find most of the success trying to control the whole game. Pedri in particular went over to the right hand side trying to influence the game from there, and this is actually where Robert Lewandowski's first goal came in when he played Jordi Alba in behind. We once again saw the return of the inverted fullback, as Sergio Roberto slightly operated next to Frenkie de Jong, and all the players slightly shifted over to the left hand side trying to bring the whole backline across. This is where we saw that Xavi went next to the left centre back and the left wing back in order to bring them close as well, leaving Ferran Torres in acres of space many a times. Xavi wasn't totally happy with Pedri operating slightly more to the left wide space. This left a gaping hole in midfield, and he tried different answers to this. He even had Frenkie de Jong going over to the left hand side, but that would actually leave a gaping hole within midfield. So he came with the answer by having Frenkie de Jong dropping in between the centre backs. Therefore Barcelona would have control by having 4 players centrally, and this Barcelona could actually control the midfield as they want and as they would like. This gave Barcelona the much more needed support and control, especially in the build-up phase. Let us all just appreciate Frenkie de Jong for a second, because usually when Xavi and Pedri operates really wide and there's nobody around Sergio Busquets, he would definitely fail. But with Frenkie de Jong it's different. He can actually go over and dribble because he has a lot of more mobility than Busquets, where he could get onto the ball, actually dribble into midfield and get himself out of trouble. Even in the situations where Barcelona would lose the ball in the final third and the opposition would actually try to break, Frenkie de Jong is actually mobile enough to go up and confront the player. Even when balls are played in behind, Frenkie de Jong could actually recover and help a lot better than Sergio Busquets will be. He can then get onto the ball, and he's also really press resistant, where he could get out of situations, dribble himself out of situations, and he's a lot younger and mobile and more energetic than Sergio Busquets. In the early stages of the game, it seemed as though Villareal wanted to push Barcelona centre-backs while at the same time get onto Frenkie de Jong trying to pin them back. But Xavi had his fullbacks go really wide and invert his wingers in order to keep the backline static, which meant that these two midfielders of Villareal would have to keep the positions, because in a situation where they would actually be out of position, Villareal would be in a dire situation, because then they would actually have the wingers actually running onto their players. Frenkie de Jong, to counter this, dropped in between the centre backs as discussed to create a numerical advantage, and Villareal could not afford to actually press up against the 3-man midfield. Therefore that meant that Barcelona would have 4 against 2 in midfield, which is a disaster for Villareal. So they just sat back and they got into midfield trying to keep down Pedri and Xavi in order to make Barca static. But Jules Koundé and Marcos Alonso just dribbled forward, and even Frenkie dribbled forward in order to get onto the ball, where Xavi had Pedri and Xavi going wide of the centre backs in order to get onto the ball. But this made a 4 versus 5 against Barcelona's midfield for Villareal. Frenkie de Jong therefore went back into midfield trying to even things up, and now Pedri was more than capable of operating next to the centre backs into the left wide space. Barcelona really pinned back Villareal's back 5 in order to get numerical advantage, also keep them really narrow. And this is what Xavi did with the fullbacks, trying to keep the width to stretch Villareal. Barcelona also had Xavi and Sergio Roberto inverting in order to give Ferran Torres the space that he needed in order for the switch to be on for Barcelona. And now we've seen that Xavi had fluidity among the front three, and that's why we saw Robert Lewandowski being out wide as well when he scored his goal. In the end, it was a great victory for Barcelona as they would redeem themselves to get more confidence for the game against Athletic Bilbao as well as Bayern Munich next week. That will then be all from our side today. I hope you guys understood everything we was talking about. Thank you for staying loyal to this channel. Barcelona fans, I do appreciate you guys. Please do hit that subscribe button as it will help us an awful lot. I want you guys to remember, please do follow me on Facebook. This is where I would interact with you guys during games actually. There will be a link in the description. Thank you very much for watching this channel. God bless you and please stay safe. Thank you very much.